Welcome to session 4 of EDSE 512. Great job getting going in the first 3 sessions. You'll notice that the only assignments that we've had for submission and grading thus far really have been discussions. That's been the nature of the work that we've been doing. And things will change in this unit. This is a 1-week unit, but this is the unit in which we have our first part 1 of the case study assignment due. And this is really exciting because we're getting into some of the meat of the course when it comes to the legally mandated paperwork required for IEP. Programming and planning and the creation and that process. So please hold on tight. We're going to work through this together. Some of you may have more experience in this arena than others, but I'm here to support, and I know that your peers and colleagues are here to support you as well. So feel free to chime in on discussions or email me directly if you've got a question for me. So you'll see that our focus for the course content is the overview of RTI progress monitoring. We'll talk about collection of data for student progress, and moving out of that assessment focus we've had for the past several units and into some of this data collection on the progress monitoring side, or figuring out how students are responding to interventions before we're moving into special education evaluation or an eligibility determination if we don't see that response on the RTI side. You'll see also that we do have a discussion for this unit. So taking a look at Unit 4, we'll pull up the graphic organizer here. There's an IRIS module for you to look through. That one is not for a submission, but it will be provided to you for your review. The major focus for this unit, although all of the content is important, will be really targeting that case study submission. The case study components build upon one another throughout the course. So if we can get a good foundation and really get to know the case study that you select for this Part 1 assignment, that'll help as we move forward with several other parts. So here's the IRIS module. I'll open it up. I'm sure that the majority of us are familiar with the IRIS process, but you'll see that this is an IRIS module that addresses concepts of response to intervention, particularly with assessment in mind. So you can click through on the side and read through some of these suggestions, proceed, etc. You can see there are several different areas and resources to review here. So this is a great opportunity for you to go through. You can see the course objectives here, and the IRIS module is here to help you with these main ideas and topics. I'm sure that many of us are familiar with response to intervention or multi-tiered support systems, but here we can see the green component would be academic or behavioral universal interventions. And the majority of students receive these. The best practice is that all students would receive these. And these are what we would consider to be preventative or proactive strategies, as you can see. And secondarily, we're going to be moving into students who are considered, although it's not a very popular term anymore, the visual does say at risk. Students who are struggling is a better way to consider that. Small kind of brief interventions compared to an IEP that we can implement. For instance, if a student's struggling with attendance, we'll go on the behavior side. We can think about a check-in, check-out system with a school counselor, somebody working with general education population, not a specific mental health providing stuff per se, but just somebody that the student can speak with at the beginning and end of the day. See if that helps with some consistency and some monitoring. And then if we're not getting there, we might be looking at a tertiary intervention. So that would be that smallest tiny percentage, 1 to 5% at the top of that triangle in this visual. This is the statistical value that you can see for this particular resource. But the main idea, regardless of your school setting, the numbers may not break down exactly this way, but majority of students are receiving just universal interventions. That's just best practice academically and with behavior support within general education. Secondary would be those targeted kind of initiatives to see, can we work through this in a short period of time and get over this academic or behavioral hump, and then finally, we would be moving into more significant interventions. And that would be assessment, evaluation, and perhaps eligibility for special education services. Here is an article if RTI is not used or implemented with fidelity. If you do feel that your state and district or site that you are working at present is implementing RTI with fidelity, this one is optional for you. So do consider it regardless. It's a good additional resource to review. This is an article, so you can open that up in PDF format, thinking about the role of the special educator in response to intervention. And this is a great website for you to become familiar with. So this is mtssforsuccess.org, and this is multi-tiered system of supports. You can see essential components, all sorts of articles and ideas about progress monitoring, how we're implementing these strategies, many different areas. Check it out. This is valuable information. Social emotional learning has really become a popular hot topic in the field and is particularly challenging at times if schools or families are electing or using remote learning or hybrid learning models where we don't have as much face-time contact with students. So do review this. Search the resource library. It's a valuable support website. Again, an IRIS module structured quite similarly to the first one. Progress monitoring, and there is one for reading. There's also one for math. So you can browse through those resources and it would be helpful to check in on each of them. More information, some charts and tools for progress monitoring. So this is an example of an academic chart, and these are just resources for you to review. Many different choices. So you can go by grade level. Let's say, for instance, we're working on number sense. When I look at math fluency, we can review what these might look like. Some of them do have cost, but it's just a good resource to be aware of. Go ahead and check those out. They are not required for your use. It's just a professional resource. Here's our discussion board, very straightforward, similar to what we have been doing. I want to spend the bulk of this video focused on the case study project. So do review this prompt. You're creating an essay question for somebody else to respond to related to the IRIS module contents. And that's something that you can review and respond to just as you would with any other discussion. Deadlines remain the same. We're still on the same track with all of that structure. This is an important focus for us right now. So case study, as I mentioned, it is a 4-part assignment. So this will last throughout the semester. We want to pace ourselves, but we really are kind of getting into gear with it. So now's the time to get familiar with the structure as we do part 1. You will be walking through the IEP process with a case study student. There are 2 choices, Misha or Erasto. Middle school for Misha or Erasto is elementary level. Please keep in mind, I hear many frustrations from students at times across courses, not just this course, about case study models, saying, oh, we don't have enough information. The case study leaves some gaps. But what I want to convey, and you may have encountered this in your practice already, is that you will often have gaps when working with real-life students. There will be a lot of things that you don't know, a lot of information that is not provided to you. And what you have to do is use your professional judgment, fill in those gaps as well as you can, draw conclusions or make inferences that seem to be the most accurate. And if you do have a burning question, please ask me. We can figure something out. But this is a chance for you to kind of take that creative license and understand, okay, I have this piece of information and this piece of information. This is not explicitly stated, but I'm going to make an educated conclusion. In particular, I, in my practice, have encountered students, for instance, who had a guardian in a different state and have arrived now to this state and the guardian has passed away. That's a situation I ran into, and it was quite tricky because the student A was very limited in language and B had some situations going on with vulnerability and trust where the person did not feel very excited about opening up to myself or other providers at a brand new state, at a brand new school, to share about the student's background. So we really had to fill in some blanks there. There was no one to call. We didn't have any other people around other than the brand new guardians who really didn't have any background either. Okay, so just keep in mind, if the case study feels a little frustrating or a little confusing or a little open-ended, that's what we're going to encounter. And I'm sure for those of you already in the field, you have encountered those gaps, either because the student can't share or because the student chooses not to share. Same with family or guardians. So you may work on this with a team in collaboration if you choose to do so, but do reach out to me if that's what you're going to do. You can reach out to your colleagues if there's somebody that you want to work with, or you can work independently. If you do work with a group, just make sure that you're both giving really solid input distributed for the tasks, because these skills will be important for both or all three group members long past this course. So we want to make sure we all get the practice. Okay, we are using Colorado forms for this assignment, and we'll take a look at this part 1 in particular. So this is a chance for you to complete 2 different forms. I'm going to pull up the prior, here are the 2 case studies, by the way. You can read about the students. There's pictures. These are fictitious case studies. So the prior written notice form is on the website for the Colorado Department of Education, and you can find it here. So we're looking for prior written notice and consent for evaluation. Those are the 2 things that you're going to fill out for this assignment, are the prior written notice form and then the assessment plan, which is provided to you down here. So prior written notice, we'll walk through this one here. You want to be as comprehensive as possible, please. Again, fill in the blanks as you are able. So the name up here of your chosen student, parent or guardian names in this dear blank here up top, and then you'll be choosing that the school is either evaluating or reevaluating. So read through the case studies, figure out whether this would be an initial or a reevaluation. Areas to be evaluated. Okay, so you'll pull that information from the case study. What kinds of needs are you seeing for this student? And give a reason. Okay, so for example, and I'm not pulling this from any particular case study, but if a student were to be evaluated in academic performance, cognitive abilities, health status, for instance, social emotional functioning, the reasons could be based upon concerns, evidence and data collected, lack of response to intervention, and you'll really want to be specific there. Okay, you won't use this top right box because this is talking about how no additional evaluation data would be needed, and that would leave us with no project, so don't use that one. This proposal is based on the following evaluation: procedures, tests, records, or reports. This is similar to what we were talking about up there at the top, but we can have some more detail here. So what evidence are you using? You don't just walk along the street and pick a child and say, let's evaluate you for special education eligibility. We're really trying to narrow down and provide to a family here the reasons that we're conducting this evaluation. Some families are wary of an evaluation or don't want one, so we need to show the reasons and show why, and that this truly is in the best interest of the student. Another option considered, for example, could be the option of continuing with Tier 2 interventions. And you won't want to throw around the term Tier 2 because many families won't know what that means. So you can list which Tier 2 interventions might have been in place. The option of continuing with these was considered but rejected due to the significant lack of response, lack of progress, and lack of growth in X, Y, and Z area for child name. Any other factors considered? Here is a place where if you have a medical diagnosis that a family has volunteered and shared that information, you can add that. If you want to share, for instance, that the child is an English language learner, or that the child is brand new to the school setting, or that a recent significant traumatic event has occurred, that's information that you could add. Factors such as previous placement or previous IEPs, that would be valuable as well. And then obviously your role, a phone number. You can make up a fake one if you would like to. And then you'll just fill out that entire form. So down here at the bottom, that would be the spot where the fictitious parent would respond to. And then we have this assessment organizer. You'll list your areas of concern, formal and informal assessment. Thank you.